Hello everybody, welcome back to It's Current Year for another quick battle ladder replay. I'm up against Party Boy 69. Nice. Today he's playing Skaven, I'm playing Lizardmen. Generally not a great matchup for the Lizardmen. I think it's gotten obviously a little bit better since Silence and the Fury, but it's probably still one of their tougher matchups. Wouldn't go maybe as far to say it's a hard counter the way it used to be, but certainly still relatively tough. Had a quick battle session the other night where I was queued up against like 5 Skaven players in a row, so I decided to play some trickier matchups. So the Skaven force, Wolf Rats on the peripheries, some good mobility there. Skaven slaves in the front line, lots of numbers, lots of bodies, not much to write home about in terms of their damage output or their leadership, but they're just buying time for these poison wind globeteers, which do have a very large damage output, as we all well know. Natty Bubo's sharpshooters with their stalk ability, and obviously their, I believe it's snipe ability too, so they don't reveal themselves initially when they start shooting. Another unit of regular Jezzails, pretty good in this matchup because they can shoot pterodons quite well, they can shoot dinosaurs quite well, got decent range. And yeah, just a good troubleshooting option for the Skaven in the absence of something like a warp lightning cannon, which I kind of did prepare for. Council Guard storm vermin, as well as some clan rats with spears. We've got the pit fighters of Hell's Deep, so the immune psychology rat ogres in the back here. They also do have obviously the enrage mechanic similar to the Norscan faction. Another unit of rat ogres out here. Leading the force, we have an assassin in the back here. He's just chilling. Looks like he's got just the assassin's trophy. No rival hard talisman, which is quite surprising. We have a plague priest on foot coming in with the 2 summons, I believe, Vermintide and Pestilent Birth. Pestilent Birth's kind of gone out of the meta a little bit just because it's very expensive, but obviously the Vermintide summon's still very, very meta. And leaving the force, we have Death Master Snicked. So probably a reasonably good counterplay to Oxyotl because he can also kind of stalk himself. You only need to pop the Deathmaster Sigil just briefly and give yourself enough time to pin Oxyotl in place. But this can work equally well against someone else to allow your firepower to shut down their lord. But he's also got looks like it's just slippery, and he also has the Cloak of Shadows for obviously his debuffing. For my force, we'll put it on a slow play to get things started. A couple of units of Chameleon Stalkers out the front, 1, 2, and 3, backed up by a number of cohorts with javelins. Very cost-effective unit at 400 gold. We've got 2 units of the Saurus Warriors with shields, and we have the Legion of Shaquar with their missile resist buff, protecting 2 Stegodons. So like I said, I did bring these guys with warp lightning cannons in mind, particularly the Ikid Zap seems quite common here, to put sort of cooldowns, abilities and spells on cooldown. So they're going to give some missile resistance to the Stegodon, because for magic I have taken a Beast Caster, Manticore Summon, and Amp Spear. Again, a anti-cannon piece, but there's no healing in this force, so Oxyotl here with the Blessed Blowpipe and Master Predator. But yeah, in the absence of any healing, thought I needed something like this just to potentially hit back against the shooting power of the Skaven. We also have a unit of Pterodon Riders on each flank, so let's get the battle underway. As I said, I still think this is one of the tougher matchups from Lisbon. They're in a very good spot at the moment. But overall, a very, very strong faction, and yeah, really, really dominant in the meta at the moment. So obviously I can't see the Natty Bubos at the moment. I can see the Warplock Jezzails, but I'm going to pepper a few shots into the Poison Wind Globeteers because they're really the only thing in this force. Oh, I did actually forget about a unit of Warp Grunters, which is an interesting pick. But yeah, really the Poison Wind Globeteers here are the only things that my Saurus Warriors are going to be scared of. So I'm just trying to strip a few models off there. Taking a bit of fire here on this unit of Saurus Warriors. They have lost a unit model, but at the moment I'm kind of fine with that. I'd rather them shooting there than the Stegodon. Haven't popped the missile resistance yet. Trying to get on the flanks with my Pterodons, but good play by my opponent. He does see this coming. Was hoping to sort of sneak in and get a bit of a rock drop or something like that. But we are going to be sort of sprung there and may lose a couple of models there. Nice little juke there from these Pterodons. The other Pterodons you'll see on the other flank, they're going the long way. I'm just putting them in the back there, hoping my opponent kind of forgets about them. I'm going to bring them in to pressure the globes, pressure the Jezzails as soon as I can. So now the obviously Natty Bubos are turning onto the Stegodons, so I'm going to pop the missile resistance, and we see here a nice volley coming in, but mitigating most of the damage, and it's a decent lasting buff. I think it lasts for about 40 seconds, no 25 seconds, maybe that was changed recently. I feel like that was longer before, but this is a bit of a mistake by me. I should not have been advancing with my Saurus Warriors. Like I said, the only thing that really threatened them here, outside of the Jezzails, which don't probably shoot as effectively into them as, you know, say my Stegodons, the only thing that really counter my Saurus Warriors are the globes, and I kind of marched this one up and took a fair bit of damage. Oxyotl has rotated around. I'm trying to get him to shoot the weapons teams. As we see a rock drop going down here, nicely dodged by my opponent. I don't think he's going to be quite as lucky on this one. I will get a decent rock drop off, and this unit of Jezzails may be able to be routed off and chased off by those Pterodons. So, Skink cohorts getting charged in by the Skaven slaves. I think they're about to break though, because the friendly fire from the Globadiers is damaging them probably as much as damaging me. But look, that's a good trade for the Globes, because that unit of cohorts is also going to break. But a great early game pickup for me. Natty Bubos running away, and we are going to finish off these Jezzails as well, swooping down into combat. Nice summon there by my opponent to plug the gaps. These Saurus Warriors were intent on coming in and trying to get onto these Warp Lightning Globadiers. Warp Lock Globe, what are they called? Poison Wind Globadiers. But I'm kind of feeling pretty good about where I am at the moment, given that the Jezzails are off. They're probably the only real targeted damage now that can put a lot of work into my Stegodons. And we're getting to the point now where, yeah, minus the Council Guard, they don't suffer a lot of threats. Poison Wind can do some damage. We were routed off over here by, I think, a unit of... by a couple of volleys from these Poison Winds with our Stalkers, but they're going to come back to the fight now, and the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep are going to make a bit of a mess of this unit of Skink cohorts with Javelins, but they copped a lot of Javelins in this fight. We hear a Manticore summon coming down, because I do see, obviously, Oxyotl. There's a bit of an open lane here, and my opponent's going to bust in and try and get on it, so I'm just going to launch this Manticore down onto the floor and try and get some terror outs, although I think I decide here with the Globes a little bit isolated out here to try and go after them instead. I have this it did rout, but it's rallied back unit of Chameleon Stalkers, which are going to countercharge. And look at that, they completely passed. I don't know what happened there, because I'm pretty sure that was an attack order. But yeah, unfortunately, Oxyotl getting set upon. The Stegodons now are going to turn around and fire some shots in. We're going to try and break off these Wolf Rats. I believe they did terror out with the presence of the Stegodon, but the Pit Fighters over here still got a reasonable amount of unit models. It can probably do a fair bit of damage to the Stegodon. But elsewhere, I'm starting to look a little bit thin. The only saving grace for me at the moment is that basically all the stuff that's left for my opponent is slaves or weapons teams. So if I can put some pressure on the weapons teams, the Pterodons, by the way, have both shattered their units of Jezzails. Probably overchased a little bit. I needed bringing them back to the fight now, but they were shattered and probably overchased a tad. But we're probably just going to stick them into combat mode and try and finish off these Poison Wind Globadiers. Likewise over here. If we lose the Pterodons in the process, you know, so be it. But at this stage, I'm feeling pretty good about the game, because I'm not seeing too much that the Stegodons need to worry about. Wolf Rats aren't going to cut it. The Rat Ogres are nearly dead. I mean, Skaven Slave Spears do have some anti-large, but, you know, pathetic stats. They're going to tear out before they can do any damage. Nice use of the remaining Poison Wind Globadiers here. Unfortunately, the Legion of Shakwa is a pretty prime target as a pricey infantry unit, and they are being the really nice play by my opponent here, bunching them up onto a summon, which means nothing. This is just absolutely free value for my opponent. We are getting in with the Skink cohorts, just disrupting the Poison Wind Globadiers, and we're going to launch down. I don't know why I bypassed these Poison Wind Globadiers with this unit of Pterodons, but I think I saw the ammo left and I wanted to try and finish off these Rat Ogres, because once again, I'm onto the point now where really Council Guard are the only thing left that these Stegodons are really going to need to be worried about, and at the end of the day they can run away. Snitch is still, he's about half health, so he's not doing too crash hot, and I'm not sure he's really got a lot of value. He hasn't really got any hits on Oxyotl or anything like that. 600 value's okay, but he's looking a bit worse for wear. And if we take a little bit of an overarching look of the battlefield, my infantry hasn't fared as well as perhaps I'd have liked. Unit of Plague Monks, I don't know what they are doing, but that's that's 16 Winds of Magic there, so that's a bit of a wasted summon by my opponent. Globes are going to finish off these Pterodons, but they're running pretty low on unit models. Still got a reasonable number of volleys left. Still seven volleys left on them, so they can potentially do some work. But now I'm just having to kite back from the Council Guard. Oxyotl is out here, and his shots pierce ranks really nicely. Storm Vermin are pretty much a prime target, and particularly down the flank like this, you see here we'll pick off a few units. Haven't got any of the blowpipe shots yet. But I did get a nice blessed blowpipe of Patui, or whatever his silly name is called. But we have managed to separate the Stegodons now. And Council Guard, try as they might, are going to try and go after this Stegodon. It's using the last of its ballista ammo. The Wolf Rats just terror rat on sight. Got some chameleon skinks out here chasing Skaven slave spears. Bit of a waste. Some Saurus Warriors with shields coming back in. Or Saurus Warriors with spears, rather. The spears were a pick with Rat Ogres in mind specifically. I think the spears in this matchup, Saurus Warriors can be a bit risky because of globes. They feed globes value, but against Rat Ogres, against even Hell Pit Abominations, things like this, the anti-large is probably more impactful than just the slightly better general stats the club version have. But once again, just kiting out this Council Guard. We've got a summoned Manticore coming down here. This is likewise, this is just a summon off. Like, look at this. Look at this. There's just no value here being accrued by anyone. Although I suppose I am finishing off some Rat Ogres over here, so maybe that's only partially true. But now, Snitch does not. This is not what Snitch does well. Snitch is a character killer. He's not so much a monster killer, unless he can sneak in amongst the crowd. But look at this Amber Spear. I saw this unit getting bunched up. I don't know what it was doing. It was doing one of those funny bugs where they sort of just crowd in on themselves, and I felt a bit bad doing this, but I thought that's too good of an opportunity to pass up. And some nice value there on the Skink Priest of Beasts. I think about 28 kills there on the Council Guard. And really, yeah, the last pure damage dealing potential there for my opponent to try and kill even the Pterodons if they land. But Snitch is terror routed, actually naturally routed, and I'm going to bring the Skink Priest of Beasts over now to try and escort him off. Plague Priest is not a bad combatant, but again, no match for a Stegodon. Rear charge here from a unit of Pterodons as a fear causer will probably cause a rout on even just these relatively healthy Clan Rats. But again, Clan Rats not going to do much to Stegodons at the best of times. Blowpipes and darts on the back. They're also fighting poison, so yeah, not a lot left here for my opponent. Unfortunately, Snitch did get away, but he's not hidden at the moment. So Oxyotl is going to spend the rest of his ammo shooting there. Not sure if it was balance of power. No, it can't have been balance of power because there were still some Council Guard left, but my opponent does throw in the towel. And yeah, probably fair enough at this stage. Two Stegodons that are reasonably healthy. Oxyotl had a little bit of ammo left. Probably not much left for my opponent to do with Snitch going off the field, and Plague Priest probably likely to die to the Stegodon. So yeah, a good match. It's had more planned for Warp Lightning Cannons, as I said, than the Jezzails, but I think the Jezzails are a reasonably nice pick. I think the Zap Zap Cannon is really quite good here, because of the ability cooldowns. You can obviously, it also does a lot of damage to monsters and things like Stegodons. So yeah, I still have some issues with this list. The Saurus Warriors with spears, I think I could have kept the Legion of Shakbar I think still was a decent pick because the missile resistance is relevant in this matchup. But I think the other two units, probably just better off going wide. Maybe another unit of Pterodons, maybe just some more Skinks. Just go super wide, try and collapse onto the Skaven position. I mean, Skinks will do okay against slaves. They will lose to Clan Rats, but you're not feeding globes value. Like, look at these globes. This is just from pretty much shooting either the Pterodons or my Saurus. Between the two of them, they've paid for themselves 4 times over. Jezzails actually didn't do as well as I thought they would, and the Wolf Rats probably just didn't go after the right targets. They can't go anywhere near anything that causes terror. They almost break straight away. Rat Ogre is obviously good for mass pinning, so they're a good pick. Warp Grinders probably not. I don't mind Warp Grinders as a unit, but they're probably just not needed against Lizardmen because they're not quite fast enough. They don't have any fast cav that you need to potentially plug a gap with a Warp Grinder with the Seismic Snare and what's the other one called? The one that causes damage. But so yeah, that could have easily just been another unit of Poison Wing Globadiers. But yeah, not a bad list overall. Not sure about Snickchip. Don't know if he's... But I can see him kind of almost being a tech piece against Oxyotl. You need to kind of look for where his shots are coming from. Maybe pop the stealth bomb and whatever it's called and be unspottable, and then try and go after Oxyotl. I mean, if he gets anywhere near Oxyotl with the sigil and obviously his scaling damage, he'll probably kill Oxyotl in combat in like 20 seconds. So yeah, I don't mind the pick so much. Probably didn't need the assassin. So likewise, you could use the assassin for a similar role and maybe go with someone like Skrulk to try and Liber Bubonicus down the big dinosaurs if you're not going to go heavy into the cannons. So yeah, lots of ways to play this for both sides. It's a matchup that I still think is kind of difficult for the Lizardmen, but overall has become a lot better since the recent DLC. So yeah, we haven't had as much content on the channel lately, so thanks for coming back and checking this out. Warhammer 2 is sort of slowing down and I am pretty busy at the moment, but as always, love casting games for you guys and hope you'll stick around into the future when you know, the excitement for Warhammer 3 really kicks off as it gets released in the next coming months. Anyway, till next time, take care guys. We'll see you soon.